My name is Thomas Trabert from HHA Leipzig Graduate School of Management, and my colleague Sebastian Weiner is from University of Applied Science in Karlsruhe, the Institute for Learning, Innovation and Networks. We provided our study or our research about the identification of challenges and recommendations for human work in manufacturing SMEs. The digital value creation poses a challenge for many organizations, and in line with our research, value is created by combining hybrid service bundles into product service systems. So companies combine resources and human performance to create and distribute goods and service, and in doing so, they create socio-technical systems of value creation. And especially in our research, the human factor within the socio-technical systems contributes significantly to value creation. And in our study, we compared the contribution of organizational factors and human factors to the ability to develop digital product service systems. And for that reason, or for that purpose, we conducted a computer-aided telephone interview with about 200 German companies to obtain on how organizational structure, business model innovation, and employer qualification influence the business model innovation. And we are going to cover all the points from theoretical underpinnings, methodology, results, and the recommendation. First, as an introduction, as I pointed out at the first slide, was that especially the digital value creation poses a challenges for many organizations. And in this case, current research in the field of Industry 4.0 has a strong focus on technology-based design, which needs or requires more attention to the design of human work in socio-technical systems, which means that designing digital technology to increase value creation for a group of people requires knowledge on how relevant capabilities need to be developed and implemented in an organizational work context. And our study showed that, or the results show that the human factor have a strong impact on developing such digital network business models. Hereby, the form of equipping the workforce plays here a crucial role. And this leads us to the following research, and at least to the following research question we analyzed in our study. The first one was, which challenges do SME and large companies currently face? The second question was, which factors contribute to the organizational ability to develop digitally networked business models? And at least, how does the human factor influence digital value creation in future? While analyzing those aspects, we just want to make a short look at the theoretical underpinnings. In the meantime, however, the concept of value creation goes beyond boundaries of local production processes. Rather, an evolution is taking place from value creation by manufacturing companies to value co-creation in production networks. So the combination of products and service into product service systems and the networking of players inside and outside the supply chain changes the way value is created. Where we look at the figure on this page, we can see that out of the production processes, the combination or the production and production related services were established, and at least this takes place in the ecosystem for business model innovation. At least, or to go on with that, the socio-technical systems, or by analyzing the human factor in socio-technical systems, we need a short definition about that. Socio-technical systems involve a complex interaction between people, machines, or technology, and the environmental aspects or organizational aspects. So it deals with the common work tasks and have an internal environment consisting of separate but independent technical and social subsystems, which refer to technology, organization, and people in this purpose. To use technology or to have to integrate those, the work process specify people, competencies, and also the type of collaboration is needed in this case. while digitalization refers to the transformation from analog to digital transformation, digital transformation means a change in the organization triggered by digital technologies. This change affects all the aspects of value creation outlined above. While digital technologies such as robotics or automation affects the production processes as such, high-level digital planning and control system enable the networking of various production processes, and at least digital technologies enable to improve communication between supplier and customer. And to consider customer needs in the production of services and to enhance products with useful digital services, this creates new value. And in this purpose, the implementation of such new business models or business model innovation or digitally networked business models fundamentally change the way companies earn their money. And this is also our main point in our analysis. We looked at the influencing factors for establishing or developing digitally networked business models. So, and here's just a short definition about that. Describes or DNBMs are usage-based, scalable, IT-supported business processes which offer customers added value through the possibility of digital selection and the design of suitable services. And at least it generates revenues for the providers and networks several partners or providers through the usage of digital infrastructures or platforms. While concentrating on the theoretical underpinnings, we just want to give you an overview about the methodology of our study. And in order to answer the research question stated out in the beginning, the research design we chose was a mixed method approach. So we conducted a questionnaire with mixed method approach of qualitative and quantitative data, and to analyze several aspects or influences which influence the ability to develop digital network business models. The data collection was handled about, or we used therefore a strategy-based approach through a computer-aided telephone interview. And this survey was conducted from April to June 2020 with about 200 German manufacturing companies, especially the interviewed persons or people were innovation manager in this purpose. All those questions in the questionnaire include facts about organizational design, available resources, and the responsibility for business model development. Through the usage of a linear regression or how we analyzed our data, here's just an overview about the contribution from the several companies we asked. With about 48%, we asked there were in our questionnaire small enterprises with 31%, there were medium enterprises, and at least 20% of them were large enterprises. Yeah, and how all those data related to our findings, you can see on our next slide.
Thank you, Thomas. I will now give you a brief overview over the results. In our first step, we analyzed the challenges companies expect to be facing in the future. With the goal to focus on the challenges, especially small and medium-sized companies have to meet, we compared those two categories. One can see that they do not differ a lot in terms of climate change, the need for skilled labor, or the COVID-19 pandemic. Those challenges concern both groups in a comparable way. This differs when you consider digital transformation and the sales market as a future challenge. While larger companies see a higher risk in terms of market pressure through rising globalization, the more smaller companies consider the digital transformation as a future challenge. But why is that the case? The literature already discusses reasons for SMEs struggling in terms of digitalization. They are like financial risks, missing know-how, or a too small amount of data resulting of their processes. It is therefore mandatory to support small and medium-sized enterprises in terms of digitalization, especially when it comes to value creation and the development of digitally networked business models. So on the next slide, we try to identify the dimension of action for companies that want to develop new business models. We aim to define the influence of different factors from the fields of people and organization on the company's ability to develop digitally networked business models. Interviewees assess their company in this ability on a scale to 0 to 4, which we use as the dependent variable for the linear regression. The independent variables are shown in the table. Variables that deliver a significant influence are the competence score, the application of specific methods, the strategic importance of business model innovation, and the availability of necessary resources. The last two variables seem to contribute obviously. Employees surely need the time and the resources as well as the support of the managing level to be able to develop new business models. Though we expected the contribution of those organizational factors to be higher as the other significant independent variables. The amount of the applied methods of business model innovation and agile project management delivers a higher contribution to the ability of business model innovation. As an example, methods like design thinking and agile project management, such as Scrum, were mentioned. We can interpret that it is more important to use the suitable methods as it is to provide resources and strategic relevance. The biggest contribution of the company's ability is delivered by the competence score. It is therefore necessary to explain that we developed a 20 competence model for teams which want to develop new digitally networked business models. As a part of this study, interviewees validated these competences by assessing their relevance. The development and validation of these competences is present in a prior publication we published at the GFA conference in March. To be able to use it as a metric variable for the regression, we use the average relevance of a competence to weigh the present competence levels in the companies. By applying the method of utility analysis, we get a score from 0 to 4 that describes how the company is equipped with competences that teams should possess when developing new digitally networked business models. As you can see, the score has by far the biggest contribution of the studied ability. So to come to the recommendations and conclusion, we are answering the prior mentioned research questions. The first question was, which challenges do SMEs and large companies face in the future? Of course, the studied companies all face the challenge of COVID-19 pandemic. They also need to handle rising market pressure, lack of qualified labor, and climate change. Larger and smaller enterprises remarkably differ in terms of digital transformation. It is therefore necessary to support especially the smaller organizations' ability to develop digitally networked business models. The second research question was, which factors contribute to the organizational ability to develop digitally networked business models? This mentioned ability can be raised by adapting organizational factors like providing with necessary resources, focusing the organization's strategy in the direction of business model innovation, and by the implementation of specific and agile methods of business model innovation. The even bigger contribution to the organizational ability is made by the developing of the employees' competences into the right direction. The third and last research question was, how does the human factor influence digital value creation? The human factor influences the digital value creation on the level of business models in a relatively high amount. While the organizational action dimensions, including methods, strategy, and resources, can help to increase the ability to develop DNBMs, we can conclude that the human factor represented by the competence score is even more important. Our study does also underlie some limitations. So the study was conducted with mostly high-level executives and leading employees of German companies. It could add some useful insights to broaden the sample to operative employees, as well as to broaden it to different countries. Future research should take into consideration if there were different organizational and human factors that might have a contribution to the ability of business model innovation. Also, the technological dimension of action wasn't inspected yet in our study. It would therefore be interesting to examine the influence of digitalization levels of processes and organizations. So we now come to an end, and kindly thank you for your attention. And if there are any questions, don't hesitate to ask or to contact us.